I appreciate everybody staying for the postgraduate lecture. It's been called upon that I should provide a concrete example of the automated learning framework in action. And so I'm going to provide one of my own examples, something that we just finished last semester facilitating, and that was our unit on simple machines. A concrete example, simple machines, okay? 5 parts to the automated learning framework in action, and it looks something like this. Some sort of pre-assessment to identify need-to-knows. This can be basically anything. It's how can you make the assignments if you don't know what they need to know? Okay? You can kind of guess, but for the most part, a pre-assessment will give you some more insight into what your kids want and need to know. We build the assignment catalog, a catalog of assignments to choose from. We do the paperwork, which is how we keep track of what's going on in the classroom. This is in, if you want to facilitate some more student choice in a traditional school, this is kind of the framework. I've got some more extreme frameworks in mind, and we'll talk more about those later. But this is if you wanted to implement more student choice in your classroom right now, and you work in a traditional school and you work within a normal American school system, you can do this right now, and that'll be awesome. The paperwork will help us keep track. Work time all day, every day. This is the majority of your time. The majority of your time is work time all day, every day. Okay? Every day, students come in, they do what work they feel like doing that day, and then they leave, and that's it. And then at the end of the unit, some kind of post-assessment. I often like to do the post-assessment is the same as the pre-assessment, so we can measure growth. We talked about this last time. That's a good way to measure growth. Okay, keep that in mind. So we're going to talk about each one of these steps in turn, in a little more detail. Okay, the pre-assessment. Okay, we're talking about the Simple Machines project, the Simple Machines unit. In this case, my task that I designed for a pre-assessment was to build a prototype machine, which is one of the following 3 forms: a conveyor belt, an inserter arm, and a mining drill. Now, why these 3 choices? Well, there's actually there's a bigger project surrounding this unit involving building a factory, and we're going to eventually cover many different types, but we're going to start with the basics, and so that's how I've chosen to start. So we've got these 3 choices: conveyor belt, inserter arm, and mining drill. Students can choose either one of those 3 they want. And they're building a prototype machine, which is one of those 3 forms. I'm including right now, some pictures of those pre-assessments. You'll notice they look rough. They're meant to look rough because there hasn't been any learning yet, necessarily. Once we understand what the students know, what they can do, and what they need to help with, what they need help with being able to do, we're going to design and write an assignment catalog. These are choices that students can pick from to learn different things to solve specific need-to-knows. Review these videos, gear ratios, link in the description, take a look at it. Make an arbor press, link in the description. These instructions that I'm providing for them, by the way, are not complicated. Very utilitarian. They serve a purpose. They're designed to solve a single specific need-to-know. Make a screw clamp. Okay. What are these meant to be? What are these meant to be? What need-to-knows are these meant to be addressing? The power of gear ratios, the power of the screw, and the power of gears. The power of screw, really, the power of the screw. Simple machines, right? Graphing a pulley's efficiency, obviously pulleys. Identifying wedges in the shop, wedges. Practice problems, inclined planes. Drawing practice, general good engineering practice. Explore the robot arm. I have a robot arm that sort of directly maps to what the inserter arm is sort of meant to be, or sort of kind of what it's meant to do. And so one of the assignments was to explore that. We have an assignment for doing drawing practice. We have an assignment for doing practice problems. Lots of different kinds of learning for lots of different kinds of students. And if you take a look at the description, you'll see the full text of all the directions that I gave for these assignments. You'll notice that they're very Spartan, They are very utilitarian. It's maybe 10 steps, maybe it's only 3 steps, maybe it's a couple of steps. But there's no fancy graphics, there's not really a lot of pictures necessarily, there may be a picture or two, but they are very utilitarian. They serve a purpose, they're meant to solve one need to know. It's not meant to fill time. The problem with busy work, if I can go off on a tangent, the problem with busy work is that it's designed to keep people busy. That's a bad reason to do something. It's a better reason to do something to solve a specific question that you uncovered during the pre-assessment. That's a better reason to do an assignment. So I designed them that way. They're utilitarian, they serve a purpose. Busy work is pointless, it's useless, it's no fun, and people don't like doing things they don't want to do, so you gotta give them a reason. These are gonna answer some of the questions that you found, that you uncovered during the pre-assessment. Different assignments for different kinds of learners. Of 23 choices that I came up with, they had to pick 14 different ones, and that's what I graded. Okay? The grading systemology that you want to use is up to you. I do all my grading based on past growth, based on past understanding of the student, of the child, and I look at the assignment, I think about the child, I look at the assignment, is this the best they can do, yes or no, and then I sort of grade accordingly. Sort of like grading by feel. It takes me about 5 to 10 seconds to basically know what grade I'm going to give. It may require some extra thought later, but I've got a gut reaction, 5 to 10 seconds. That's plenty, because in your head, you hold in your head an understanding of who that child is, and you hold an understanding of what the assignment is because you wrote it. And it's very easy to take those two things and match them or mismatch them, right? Does this demonstrate growth? Does this not demonstrate growth? 5 to 10 seconds to grading every single assignment, no problem. Okay, students, once we have the assignment catalog, students complete the paperwork, okay? Students are responsible for their own stuff, right? We keep an eye on them, but they are responsible for maintaining their own schedule. They're responsible for maintaining their own calendar. They're responsible for understanding their own knows and need to knows, their own powers and their own limitations. So this is what I have my kids do. I have them make a calendar that has every day in the unit and tells me what they're going to work on which day. This can be flexible. This is not set in stone. This can be flexible. This can change. In fact, I would like it to change. I would like my calendars, when I get them, to be marked up and have arrows going every which way. That would demonstrate to me that they've thought about it and they're thinking about it and they're always thinking about it. I have my students put together a calendar. This allows me to keep an eye on what's going on and when. Knows and need to knows. We need to develop an understanding of what our powers are, what we're capable of, what we know, and what we need to know. What are our limitations? What should we work on? Which assignments should we pick? We make a list of knows and need to knows. The project statement. This is more applicable to a larger project, like the factory project I mentioned earlier. However, the statement is, I'm going to learn these things through these assignments. Here's how. And then they sign it. It's basically a statement of intent. Okay? Purchases. Anything that they feel like we need to purchase for the shop, they tell me, and I put it on my list, and I get it. That's the long and short of the purchasing around here. If they don't need anything, they submit a document that's blank, and they tell me I don't need anything. Okay? These things are not strictly required, as it says here, not strictly required. With 30 kids, many will do this. The others, I can keep an eye on. So basically, what is this for? Most of the kids that I have will do this. There are some that won't. It's okay. Because if I'm doing the automated learning framework, I don't have to worry about all 30 kids. I can just worry about the ones who didn't do this part. Because if they didn't do this part, I don't really have a good understanding of where they are, so I got to keep a closer eye on them. And because I'm doing the automated learning framework, I have that opportunity. I'm afforded that time, I'm afforded that opportunity, I'm afforded that opportunity for care. Okay, the majority of our time is spent here in this orange section. Work time all day, every day. This is where the automated part comes from. If you're wondering where the word automated came from, it's this part. There are days that kids come into my classroom that I do not speak to. There are times that I come in, there are times that kids come into my room and they work and they leave and I don't say a word to them. This is maybe not necessarily on purpose, but it is possible. It's okay because I don't have to give instructions all the time. I don't have to give instructions every day because the instructions are always the same. Follow your calendar. Solve your need-to-knows. Live according to your project statement. Get your assignments done. Learn what you need to know. The instructions are the same every day, so I don't need to repeat myself. So I don't have anything to say most days. When we're in this phase, this orange phase, I don't have to say anything most days. I do say things because I like talking to my kids. But there have been times where I don't say anything to certain people because they're vibing, they're working, they're doing everything they need to do. They don't need me. And that's okay, right? If you remember at the beginning, the previous presentation, I said that the facilitator facilitates or not. There has to be room in there for our kids to be able to work independently, and they don't need me. They don't need us. Some students are like that, some students are not. We need to spend our time helping those who are not. We need to spend our time helping those who need it most. Work time all day, every day. That's the automated part, okay? The classroom just functions. It just goes. It just works. It's like a clock, okay? Students come in. They do work for various assignments. Everybody's working on different things. Maybe they're collaborating, maybe they're not. Maybe they're building something, maybe they're not. Maybe they're doing practice problems, maybe they're doing something else. Work time all day, every day. That's the automated part. Finally, once we've finished all of that, and maybe we've extended the time a few times, maybe we've given extra time, maybe we've given extra days, that's okay, not set in stone. Nothing's set in stone, it's all flexible, right? Flexibility is the name of the game. The post-assessment can pretty much be anything. For the Simple Machines project, I had them rebuild whatever they did for the pre-assessment. And I'm showing you now the before and after pics. I made this the first time and I made this the second time. Does this demonstrate understanding of simple machines? For the most part, yes, I think it does. And so I think the unit was successful. I think there was learning involved. I think learning happened. And I think this demonstrates it well enough. I think it demonstrates it well enough more. I think it demonstrates it more than any other classroom methodology, which is why this is what I do, which is why I think this is what you should want to do. I think more learning happens. I think it's more efficient. I think it happens more quickly. I think it happens more deeply. I think it happens more richly. I think it happens, period. I don't think a lot of learning happens in other classrooms. I don't think a lot of learning happens in other traditional classrooms. I hold a belief that I don't think anyone has ever learned anything by being taught. So I think this is better. And I think that if you try this, I think you'll find that it's better. Mostly because of this part. Mostly because of this part. Work time all day, every day. It's automated. It runs on its own. No stress. You get to do what you want. You get to help who you want. You get to help who needs it. You get to talk to who you want. You get to, or not. Nothing wrong with that. Work time all day, every day. Yeah, it took us a lot of work to make those assignments. It took us a lot of time to make those assignments. But it didn't take us any more time than if we made them throughout the unit. We just made them all at the beginning. We just made them all at the beginning. And then we graded them at the end. I usually have my kids turn in a portfolio of all the work that they've completed. And that demonstrates, that's their test grade, that's their test, right? They turn in all the work that they've completed along with their paperwork and their final product. And that whole thing represents a collection of work. It represents a demonstration of growth. And that tells me everything I need to know. That tells me everything I need to know to give them a grade, to pass them or fail them. That tells me everything I need to know to talk to their parents. That tells me everything I need to know to talk to admin. That tells me everything I need to know about that student in regards to that specific unit. It's not any more complicated than that, folks. It's not any more work. And I hope you try it, because I can help. If you want to do this and you want to try, contact me. We'll do it together. No problem there. I've got some more things to say, but, oh yeah, here we go. Some other examples. All of these things can be done in this way. I've just made a list of examples: spiders and arachnids, Africa, expository writing, quadratic functions, baseball, the rock cycle, if-else statements, computer science, wind, figure drawing, supply demand, acids, bases, abnormal psychology. I picked a lot of different subjects. All of these things are applicable. I think any subject is applicable, but if you want to see more about these specific examples, just tell me, and I can oblige. But yeah, that's the automated learning framework. That's the concrete example. I don't think if you think that it's more complicated than that, it's not. I make the assignments at the beginning, they do them at their own pace, according to their whims, and then it's done, and we move on with our lives, right? We do some sort of post-assessment, and that allows me to give them a grade because it demonstrates growth, demonstrates real growth, because the pre-assessment and the post-assessment demonstrates growth, especially when it's the same thing. Whew. Anyway, thank you.